So when I was a young footballer, in the change room before the game and even on the pitch, I'd be nervous, I'd be overthinking, I'd be thinking about all the bad scenarios that could possibly happen, and ultimately this prevented me from playing at my best, playing at my optimum, and really, going out there on the pitch and dominating. However, every 3 or 4 games, I'd have one of them days where I wasn't really nervous, I wasn't really thinking too much, and I was just in like a flow state, you understand it. Before the game, all my mind was thinking about was just going out there and just playing my game and just helping my team win. And obviously that translated to on the pitch, in the warm-up, during the game as well. There was no thoughts in my mind, you understand. I was literally just focused on helping my team win. I was calling for the ball, receiving the ball, just sort of playing with no fear, no worries, you understand. And I'd always think to myself, yo, how come I can't play like this all the time, you understand? How come I can't replicate this form every single game? Why is it only maybe every 3, 4, 5 games I can play at my absolute maximum, you understand? So today I'm going to be teaching you how to make it easier for yourself to enter a flow state. A flow state is basically just where you're just in a zone where you have no thoughts in your brain, no negative energy, you're just in a state where all you think about is, I need to help my team win, I need to help my team win. You just do anything you can to help your team win. You do anything you can to help your performance. You're not afraid of receiving and showing for the ball. If you want to play that through ball, that 40-yard ping, you play it without hesitation. You play without the fear of, what if I lose the ball? I don't really want to lose the ball. If you're a winger, that means you get the ball and you're positive. You're constantly just attacking your man. Even if you might lose out on your 1v1 duel, the next 1v1 duel, you just go again and you go again and you keep being aggressive, you understand? That's sort of what getting into a flow state is. So today I'll be teaching you how to get into a flow state more often so you can be at your best every single game as opposed to every 5 games like me when I was younger. So the first point is your pre-game preparation. Now, pre-game preparation means maybe like a week before the game. So I'm talking about what are you doing in like the lead up to your game, however long that is. Maybe it's 5 days before your game, a week before your game, 3 days before your game. Like, what are you actually doing? Because think about it, if the week before, if you've been training hard, your diet's been on point, you've been doing little extra things like stretching, you've been training pretty much every single day in the lead up to that game, you're gonna go into the game confident as hell. You're gonna go into the game thinking, yo, I've done everything I need to do, and there's gonna be no worries in your brain, no nerves. You're gonna be thinking, yo, I've been training all week. When you get the ball and you want to play that 20-yard through ball, you're just going to play it without any hesitation. There's not going to be any doubt in your mind like, can I really play that ball? In fact, no, I don't want to play that ball. Let me just turn and play it sideways or backwards, you understand? It's just little things like that. Same as if you want to take on your man, or if you're a fullback and you want to get forward, you're not thinking in your head, I don't want to get forward, I haven't been working on my fitness this week. Maybe if I run forward to make that overlapping run, I'll struggle to get back, you understand? But if you've been putting in the work, if you've been training, as a fullback, you're going to be like, yo, I'm ready. I'm just going to overlap every single time, help my team out in attacking areas, you understand? So in the lead up to the game, your pre-game preparation is key, and it even goes to the day of the game as well. In my opinion, on the day of the game, you should find like a pre-game ritual or a pre-game routine that actually works for you. You understand? Keep it the same. Just keep it consistent, because if your pre-game routine is consistent, then your performances are going to be consistent as well. Because think about it, if you're constantly changing things up, doing something different every single game, obviously that's going to lead to more chaos, which is going to lead to inconsistency. So literally consistent pre-game routines literally equal consistent performances, in my opinion anyway. So literally wake up in the morning, have this eat the same breakfast or eat the same pre-game meal, do the same things that you want to do. If you have a ritual of taking a walk before the game, stretching before the game, maybe you go out to the garden or the park and you get some touches in before the game. Whatever you need to do to get your mind engaged into the game, in my opinion, that's what you should do, and keep it consistent. That's the main thing. If you want to find out how to figure out your pre-game routine, if you don't have one, then you can just try different things. Just keep trying different things, and then maybe there's 1 or 2 things that stick, 1 or 2 things where you do it and then you realize, okay, I've actually had a couple of good performances when I do this. So I'm gonna do this. But if you can think back to the best games you had as a player, think back to the best games you have and try remember what you did before the game. You understand? Try remember what you did before the game and then replicate that so you can obviously have good performances as well. But obviously you're probably not gonna remember, you know, every single good performance, what you did a week before that game, or what you did the day before, or the day on, or the morning of the game. You understand? So if you can't really remember what you did in your good performances, literally in my opinion, just try little things, just try different things, see which ones result in good performances, and then there you go. Eventually it's going to take some time, but eventually you're going to have a full routine that you do, a full routine that gets your mind engaged, that puts you in a flow state to the point where you're playing with confidence, you're not playing with any nerves, and yeah, you're just going onto the pitch with one thing in mind, which is to help your team win the game and play at your best. In terms of rituals, your pre-game sort of rituals, or what you do pre-game, can literally be anything. Like I've heard, you know, the weirdest pre-game routines. Like I've heard some of my teammates say, oh, but when we're in the change room, they always have to put on their left boot first before their right boot, you understand? Or certain guys say that they have to step onto the pitch with their right foot first instead of their left foot. Like, just the smallest things. Some guys say, oh, I need to always splash water on my face before we go out to the game. Or certain guys listen to a specific playlist that gets them, you know, in the zone, that gets them locked in. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you need to do, you understand? Whatever you need to do to get your mind engaged, just do it, you understand? It doesn't matter how big, how small it is, how long it takes. Whatever you need to do to ultimately engage your mind, if it's bringing good performances, it doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? So in terms of pre-game rituals, it can literally be anything, you understand? Don't overthink it. Just try different things. Maybe you can find out, you know, certain professional footballers rituals and routines, and try them for yourselves. See if you like it. Just find your favorite players' routines. See if it works for you. If it does, then keep it. If it doesn't, then on to the next one, you understand? Like I said, it's going to take a bit of time, but eventually you're going to have that routine that you're going to continue for, you know, the rest of your career, the rest of the time that you're playing football. So that's the first point. In order to enter that flow state in a match and just be confident, have no nerves, no anxiety, you have to have a good pre-game routine. Your preparation in the lead up to the game has to be good, because when it's good, you have that mentality of, yo, I've done everything I need to do. Now it's just about going out there and performing. Now the second point is, I've said this many times before, but it's all about having a fast start, in my opinion. The best games that I've always had are the games where I started fast. I was in the thick of the action quickly. You know, I was, you know, challenging for a header, or I made my first big tackle, or I received the ball and then I made a successful pass, and then that basically just led to me having a good game, you understand? The worst games I ever had were the ones where it took me a while to get into the game. For some reason, maybe I was playing at fullback and the ball was just always on the other side, you understand? The ball was just always on the other side for like the first 10 minutes, and I didn't get my first touch of the ball until like 7 or 8 minutes in, you understand? Like, things can happen like that. It even happened sometimes when I was in centre mid, where maybe first 10 minutes, the ball's just being played long. It's just playing up and down, up and down. Maybe the centre backs that game just decide, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep playing long. Or the fullbacks decide we're gonna keep playing long. Or even the keepers, the ball. But for some reason, I know all centre mids know that feeling where some of the games where the ball's just going up and down. It's just bypassing the midfield. And you don't get your touches in until like, you don't get like your first proper touch, your first proper involvement in the game until like the 10th minute, you understand? And obviously, in my experience, those are the games where I had my worst games. The best ones were always the ones where I was in the thick of the action. Because think about it, especially if it's a big game, before the game, you know, you're in the change room, you might feel a bit of nerves. That's normal. You might feel a bit of nerves, and I'm pretty sure all footballers know that feeling of, you know, you might have a bit of jelly in your legs where your legs kind of feel weak simply because it's the nerves, you understand? It's the butterflies in your stomach, they sort of go down to your legs. But as soon as you get those first 2 or 3 involvements in the game, 2 or 3 actions in the game, all of a sudden your nerves are starting to calm down, and then you're starting to, you know, get into that flow state, get into that mode of, okay, cool, I've got my first few touches in, now the nerves are gone, you know, the jitters are out, let's actually go play now. And the earlier in the game you can get rid of the nerves, the better, you understand? Because it's just logical. If you've got rid of your nerves within 5 minutes, you're obviously going to be playing better than the guy who's, you know, after 15-20 minutes, he's still sort of overthinking, he's still sort of in that nervous state, you understand? So in my opinion, it's so imperative to, you know, have a fast start. Just get involved in the game. In my opinion, it's better to get involved early, and then maybe, let's say you get involved early, you receive the ball, and then let's say you lose the ball twice. It's better that you're involved and you lose the ball twice than to just not be involved at all for the first 10 minutes, you understand? Because at least, you know, you've got a feel for the ball. Yeah, your 2 passes, you know, miscompleted passes. Yeah, I know you're probably scared of that ruining your confidence, but in my opinion, you've got your touches on the ball, and now you're sort of, at least you're involved. At least you're like, alright, cool, I gave the ball away twice, can't do it again. Let me go get it again, and let me, you know, make my first successful pass. Whereas you don't want to be passive at the start of the game, where it's like, oh, you're just letting the game bypass you. Because trust me, when you let the game bypass you, your nerves are still gonna be there, and you're just gonna, like I said, other players are getting their touches in, other players are, you know, in the zone, and then obviously, like I said, their nerves are gone, so they're obviously just going to be playing better than you. So you're going to end up, you know, losing your individual duels, losing your individual battles. And ultimately, you might get subbed off from your coach early, simply because you're not offering enough, you understand? So, in my opinion, second point is literally just to have a fast start. Just get involved in the game early. I don't care how small it is, even if it's a tackle, even if it's like a clearance, if you're a centre-back, a header, a pass, even if it's going at your man 1v1, even if it's a thing of like you get the ball as a winger and you're positive. You're positive. Let's say you're playing on the wing. You're positive. Let's say you do a step over and you take a touch on the outside. Even if you take a touch on the outside and you cross it in and it hits the first man, goes out for a corner, that's still something. You understand? That's still something. That's still you being positive. That's still you know, giving the fullback something to think about. When you're positive from the off, in any position, the other player that you're coming up against, they're going to be like, yo, this guy's on it today, you know what I'm saying? This guy's on it today, you know what I'm saying? If you're a winger and you're, first time you get the ball, you're going at the man, the fullback's going to be thinking, fuck me, like, this is going to be a long day. Or you're a winger, you've gone shoot for the ball, and then you've run in behind. The ball's got played in behind, and then, you know what I'm saying, you've run, you've got the ball, the fullback's going to be thinking, yo, this is good, this guy's quick, this is going to be a long day, you understand? So it just gives you that psychological edge when you have a fast start, you understand? When you have a fast start, it's up to the other opponent to, you know, respond to it. And once you get that momentum in football, we all know momentum's a crazy thing in football. Once you get that momentum, maybe your team had a fast start and you scored the first goal, it's very hard for the other team to, you know, come back, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, having a fast start to get you into a flow state is very imperative. The best games I always had, the best games where I felt like I was in a flow state and I was just focused on winning, no nerves at all, were the ones where I had a fast start. The last thing I want to talk about is social media. Now, I've made a video on, you know, why footballers should limit their social media use, but in terms of getting you into a flow state, I feel like social media prevents you from getting into a flow state if you're just constantly scrolling on, you know, specifically the short form content. I feel like if you're watching, you know, like 20-minute videos, 40-minute videos, or you're watching like documentaries or podcasts, I don't think they're too bad. Obviously, you should limit them as well, but I don't think they're too bad. In my opinion, the things that will prevent you from getting into a flow state are like the TikToks, the Instagram Reels, the YouTube Shorts. It's, you know, the short form content that's like less than a minute, less than 2 minutes. If you're just constantly you're just scrolling on them and just watching them, in my opinion, you're actively training your brain to only focus for like 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, you understand? And obviously, we all know football's a 90-minute game. You need to be locked in, you need to be engaged for at least 90 minutes or 45 minutes at a time, you understand? You have 45, at least 45 minutes at a time. Your brain needs to be able to, you know, engage. As a fullback, you need to be able to, you know, get up and down the pitch. You can't lose your man, because there's been so many times I've seen, even in professional football, you know, the cross will come in, the fullback is sleeping, they've lost their man at the back post, and the what's called, and the winger just ends up scoring. You understand? It's just little things, little things where you need to concentrate. You know, following your man from a throw-in, following your man from a corner. All these little things where your brain just needs to be constantly be engaged. And if you're training your brain to literally only focus for 2 minutes, like 2 minutes are gonna go in the match, the ball's gonna go out for a throw-in, and all of a sudden you're thinking about something else. You're losing concentration. Your mind is just going elsewhere. You understand? I know this for myself, because when I was around like 15, you know, this is when TikTok, you know, first started getting big. I was on there just scrolling, and I realized when it came to the matches, it was like I was finding it difficult, you know, to stay focused. I was thinking about the most random things during the game. Instead of me just being locked in on, okay, where's my man? I need to play this pass. Let me go receive the ball. I was thinking of like the most random things. I was thinking about, oh, the girl I was chatting to, or what am I gonna eat when I get home? You know what I'm saying? I was just having all these random thoughts, and I feel like social media does that to you, where you can't just stay focused and locked in for a long time. And football, it's not like basketball, it's not like the NFL where there's a timeout every 2-3 minutes, you understand? Football, 45 minutes straight, 2 45-minute halves straight. So you have to be locked in, you have to be engaged. So as a young player, just be wary of, you know, the short form content on social media. If you want to watch, you know, podcasts, documentaries, in my opinion, the long form is calm, you know what I'm saying? That's mostly what I watch. But if you're just constantly, you know, these YouTube shorts, or these, you know, 2-3 minute videos, you understand, where it's hyper edited, you know what I'm saying? It's hyper edited, you know, Mr. Beast style type of thing. It's sort of like, yo, your concentration and sort of like your attention span, that's what your attention span, in my opinion, is going to be fried, and that's actually going to harm you on the football pitch as well. You're going to find you can't focus on the football pitch, you can't focus while you're trying to do work or do your homework or do any of that thing. You just can't, your brain just can't sit still, you understand? And this is where you see all these little kids, where people look at them and they go, yo, why does it seem like all these little kids have ADHD, you know what I'm saying? And it's literally just a case of, yo, they just can't focus, they just can't sit still for a prolonged period of time, like I said, because of all, you know, the short form content on social media now. I've even seen it with my brother, where he'll just be scrolling on TikTok or scrolling on YouTube shorts, just absolutely just frying his attention span. I'll be like, yo, I tried to tell him, but obviously when you're young, it's sort of a thing where it's like, yo, these kids are still gonna do it anyway. But you as a player, I'm telling you now, just limit the short form content, because it's frying your attention span and it's stopping you from getting into a flow state on the football pitch. But that's all I got to say for this vid. Hope you enjoyed. I've been JT, and I'm out.